Welcome to the Florida Real Estate and Entrepreneur Podcast, where we interview the best and the brightest business and real estate leaders. Our mission is to inspire and help 1,000 entrepreneurs to start and succeed in real estate and entrepreneurship. We will give you the exact playbook to succeed in your business through the experience of those who blaze the path. We're bringing the what's working today directly to you. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Florida Real Estate and Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, I have with me my friend and esteemed colleague, Jim Lloyd. Jim hails from the Northeast, but lives in Florida today. He is an attorney up in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Jim, is that right?
Just New Jersey.
Oh, just New Jersey. Okay. He's an attorney up in New Jersey. He's also got multiple other skills. He's been in the real estate game for decades, and he's got title agent experience, title attorney experience, and he's also a real estate agent helping buyers and sellers in the Orlando market. So, Jim, thanks for coming on with me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
All right. So, Jim, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your real estate journey? I know you were a service member, you got out of the Marine Corps and you did stuff. I'd love to hear your entire story from the time you left the service to getting a law degree to getting into real estate, and then where your business is at today.
Well, got out of the Marine Corps in 93 as a reservist in 93. So I graduated college at the same time and went to law school. Got married in 93, so we just celebrated our 31st anniversary, and went right out of law school into more of a litigation role as an attorney and working with maritime law, which is a little kind of unique area of the law. But really started doing my first real estate transactions in 98, which is also when we bought our first house. And I think it's interesting, kind of typical young family getting started, you trade up, but it is kind of house hacking in a sense. So got our first house in 98, bought our second house in 2000. I was driving past this kind of a rundown, distressed house. It turned out it was a probate. They kept having these yard sales. So I stopped in, saw they had this tiny home for sale sign, and got my first distressed home. We gutted it, which was interesting. It was a great experience, and we made great money on that house, actually. So I also started my first firm as a solo attorney in 2000 and focusing really primarily on real estate transactions. So in New Jersey, especially in North Jersey, use attorneys as part of the process. We coordinate with title and work with the agents to negotiate the contracts and inspections and get to closing. So been doing that since 2000, and I guess I've closed a couple of transactions since then.
Yeah, that's. I feel like you're being a little modest. You know, there's very, very seldomly when you listen to podcasts or people in the real estate industry, do you get an opportunity to talk to people who have been doing transactions of various sorts, not just since before the 2008 crash, but even before the 2001 tech bubble kind of burst and the market changed. Like, that was a really interesting time in the late 1990s, early 2000s for the U.S. economy and also the real estate market. So do you have any recollection of what that market was like back then? And, you know, was there this big investor craze happening at that time still? Was that like a bustling industry at that time? And what was your experience, in 2000?
Yeah, I think we all know the real estate market has its cycles and it has its booms and its busts. So it was pretty consistent in the late 90s, early 2000s. After 9/11, we had a similar kind of stimulus to the economy that we had after COVID. And the interest rates started to drop a lot. And just for historical perspective, like when the rates came down to like 7.5%, we had an amazing refinance rush. Now it's at 7.5%. Everybody thinks it's unbelievably high. But people were jumping to refinance at 7.5. I think we got down to maybe the low sixes, maybe the high fives. There were a lot of adjustable rate mortgages, especially like LIBOR loans, the London Index, that sort of thing. So yeah, my practice was booming after 9/11 until about 2005. And in 2005, 2006 is when the wheels started to slow down because of all of the, safeguards that weren't in place yet for the mortgage industry and a lot of the bad loans that were being made. So I'd like to say I survived the crash in '08, but I didn't really. It was like hitting a brick wall.
So at this time, you kind of have this refi boom post 9/11. I have to imagine, September 11th happens in 2001 and things probably go to a standstill for a few months at least. And there's a ton of uncertainty in the market. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, it slowed down briefly, but things were still happening. I was in North Jersey in Morris County, so it was within sight of New York City. So things definitely were at a standstill for a little while, but not very long, to be honest, before things started picking up. I think a lot like the kind of aftermath of COVID, where people started thinking about what's really important with housing. So not just the interest rates, but also just the mindset and the attitude of the consumer. Family becomes more important. The commute becomes more important. Having a place to call home becomes very important. So there was really a big run to own houses, to own a property.
Yeah, that's incredible. So then you fast forward and you get to that 2005 to 2007, and you've got this appreciation happening in the market because you have buyers who are able. I mean, everybody at that time could get a loan. These subprime loans were poorly put together. So you had people buying houses and we didn't have an affordability issue back then like we do now. It was more in balance. But now you had all these people who could get loans and could get into the market even at a 7% rate because they didn't need the 680 credit score. They didn't need to show pay stubs. They were just getting loans.
And they were getting like 110, 115% loans to do some renovation. Even if renovation wasn't needed, it was pretty wild. A lot of no document loans.
Wow. So obviously we all know the story. 2008 happens. The market kind of falls out. What's going on in your life at that time? So you're all in at this time with a law firm that's doing real estate transactions and an attorney state at the time.
Yeah.
And your business is completely predicated on transactions coming through. So what did you do at this time?
I scrambled a lot. I wound up doing a couple different things. Kind of contract attorney work. So I was doing some electronic discovery on a contract, kind of temporary basis. I jumped with a college friend of mine into his family law firm doing divorce work and custody issues and that sort of thing. And around about the same time, I reconnected with a ministry that had an impact on me when I was a high school kid called Young Life. And the opportunity arose in 2009 to go on staff and kind of go into ministry. So it's kind of an interesting career transition at that point. There wasn't a lot happening in the legal career at the time. After having your own firm for so many years, that was more transactional based with an industry that was really depressed at the time. So went into ministry. 2009, handled a couple different legal items as time went on. Unfortunately, we did lose our house also just with the crash and the business drying up. And so, yeah, it was kind of an interesting time to make that transition.
Wow. So you find a calling, maybe it's not the most lucrative calling, but you find a calling that has purpose behind it in ministry. You're obviously going through a tough time financially. And, you just said you're still married today, 31 years later.
Yeah.
Did you have kids at this time?
Yeah, we had 5 kids. We had numbers 4 and 5 are twins. That were a big surprise. While we were renovating that house that that we had gotten and gutted, we were surprised with twins. So We had a growing family, young family. Kind of an interesting thing at that time, too, when I first came on staff with Young Life, there was a home in the community where I went into ministry that had been purchased by donors about 15 years prior. And they, I guess, allowed Young Life staff to live there in an area where it was pretty high cost of living. So even the real estate investing and the value of real estate became really important to us to just be blessed by the generosity of this couple that had purchased a home. And it actually, it was a great investment for them also because they had gotten it and had, a ministry use it for all those years. So it was really cool. And it was a great testimony to the power and value of real estate and what it can do in people's lives.
Yeah. And your faith as well.
Yeah.
And your faith as well. The alignment there with, you're jumping to real estate and then everything kind of crashing, but you deepen your faith and you go into ministry and you get this real estate opportunity somebody else had, which I'm sure they had great tax benefits. They got to give back and
right.
I'm sure that thing appreciated $1 zillion by the time it was all said and done. And, it carries you through the 2008 crash. So you're doing ministry. And at what point did you go back into real estate? So this is probably 2007 timeframe, 2008?
2009, 2008, I started volunteering and then took a position with them in 2009. I actually, at one point, I let my law license lapse along the way. I just wanted to be fully committed to ministry and kind of not put my hand to the plow, but be looking back and that sort of thing, which I think was maybe good for a little while, but also naive in some ways. So around 2017, I had gotten my license back online and I restarted my side hustle as a real estate attorney, doing transactions. I'd like to say I had my side hustle to support my ministry habit.
Yeah, hey, you were able to do the two things you love the most, which is outside of your family, of course, your ministry stuff and real estate. Okay. Yeah. So you're back in the game, 2010, 11 timeframe. And now do you just spend the next decade running transactions as an attorney or? Yeah.
So, came back in the game around 2017, 2018, kept the practice small as a side hustle, just running transactions as an attorney. Around 2019, 2020, I started representing more investors as an attorney. So working with wholesalers and house flippers and that sort of thing. And, my wife and I were still trying to get back on our feet after the crash. It took really 10 years to try to recover from that. And so when COVID came, it was just kind of this opportunity that hit us to make the move. So we moved in 2020 to Florida, just outside of Orlando. And I maintained my New Jersey law practice. Just the way that the practice has evolved, it could be primarily remote. Even while I was in New Jersey, it was still remote. Very rarely met with customers and clients. And especially during COVID, it was just, a remote transaction process. So I got my title license first in Florida in the fall of 2020. Very similar, the title agent business to the transactional attorney business in New Jersey. So got started with a title company that was looking to start an operation in Florida, a company that I had worked with in New Jersey.
That's really cool. So at some point you also got your real estate license. Can you talk about that part of your process?
Yeah. I got my real estate license in 2021. I wanted to do that with my wife, so I get to do that with my wife. And just started working on developing reputation, learning that side of the business as opposed to the transactional background, the administrative part that I did as an attorney and as a title agent. And then I had a great fortuitous meeting with Bill Allen. It's really within a couple of weeks of getting my real estate license, I went to the ClickFunnels conference in Orlando, and honestly, just waiting in line for lunch during one of the sessions, I stood behind this guy that had this 7-figure flipping t-shirt on. And since I had been representing some wholesalers and flippers, I started asking him about it. And he was very gracious to invite me to have lunch with him and his friends, and introduced me to 7-figure flipping, who was having their own conference just a couple of weeks after the ClickFunnels conference. I think it was within like 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, it just aligned a lot of different things in my mind. I jumped into that, and that's how I got to meet Adam Whitney. Very cool series of events to lead me, to be at that position.
Yeah, definitely feel blessed that that all happened. I didn't know that part of the story, actually. So I'm incredibly grateful you went to that ClickFunnels event, because you and I got linked up through the 7-figure flipping community, and then we also have the veteran Marine Corps connection, and we're part of another group called the War Room, which is a bunch of entrepreneur veterans and active duty folks. Yeah, and what's really beautiful about it is I was really attracted to you because you have such a depth of experience that I don't have. You know, experience comes with action over time. Like I am a massive action taker, but time is just time, right? It's a finite resource. Yeah. And although I've been doing it for 5-6 years, like I can't replicate 30 years of experience. And I also didn't have the skills or the, kind of training. You've committed to being a lifelong learner. You went to school to get a law degree, and you've got all kinds of other certifications plus the experience. So I think I just had great admiration for what you were doing. What's really cool, and people probably don't know this, and you and I talk about this sometimes. If I'm in Orlando and I have to make a choice about working with an agent or a title company, and I can work with, there are so few people who have the skills that you have. Like you can represent somebody as an agent, but also represent their title equities, and run their title process for them. And the power of that is, one, you have deep knowledge of both, so you're gonna be able to make the smoothest transaction possible. You've been in the real estate game for so long. Buying and selling of houses is really just intuitive to you at this point. And you've got this like full service capability that so few people have. And if they do have it, here's what I've seen. If they do have it, where say a brokerage also has a title company associated with it, that agent or even that broker does not have experience on both sides. They probably have experience running businesses, but they don't know the nuance. And in real estate, sometimes the nuance can be the difference to a successful purchase of a home, the transaction, getting the paperwork correctly, completed correctly, making sure it's smooth and on time, and all the things are done in an accurate and effective way. There's probably not very many people who can do that like you can. So I think that's really, really powerful. So if you're in Orlando, in the Orlando area market, you should certainly reach out to Jim if you want to buy or sell a house, or if you're an investor and you want to run, investor files through a title company who knows how to do that. Like you are definitely the guy for that. So you and I meet around this time in 2021, I guess, and we build a relationship, and I'm building an investment company, and I decide one day I wake up and I go, I need a title company. And you and I had some conversations, but you were kind of focused on working with that New Jersey company at the time, and I was really just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it, if anything. And so I just went crazy and opened a title company, figured it out. I had multiple people along the way said, you can't open a title company because you don't have experience. So you don't have any title. You're not a title agent. You don't have any experience. It's not possible. I was like, we'll see about that. So we were able to do that. And fortunately for us, we were able to partner with you in Titan Title. So we're based out of St. Pete and Tampa, and you've got the Orlando operation. And I think that's probably one of the best decisions I've made in business over the past couple of years is having the opportunity to work with you in this industry, because you have such great experience. So what are you doing today I know obviously we're doing work in Titan together and kind of growing that. And we've got really, really audacious goals there, but
Yeah.
you're doing a lot of retail stuff. What's your business look like on the retail side? How are you helping people on the retail side? What kind of clients are you working with? Like who's the right person to come reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah, our focus is really in this Four Corners area, which is on the western side of Orlando. So it's 4 counties that come together and really 4 communities: Claremont, Winter Garden, Kissimmee, and Davenport. So that's like Lake County, Orange County, Polk, and Osceola. You see, I'm wearing my Disney golf shirt, but my wife wants us to move even closer to Disney. So that's primarily our focus, is helping people get into properties that are within kind of a half an hour to 45-minute drive from the Disney properties, that can either purchase a home as a second home or vacation home, or an investment as a short-term rental.
Awesome. So if folks are in the Four Corners area, they definitely need to reach out to you. Let me ask you a few other questions that we ask all of our guests. What would you say your superpower is as a business leader in the real estate and the legal space?
Well, I think, you hit on it a little bit, but having, with my business as real estate and my professions as an attorney, a title agent, or a real estate agent, each of those professions kind of inform and enhance the other. So that experience has really helped me not get too overwhelmed by when things go haywire in a transaction. They've also helped to not, especially let's say on the title side, where we've been able to jump in and help customers that are investors purchasing a foreclosure and it's scheduled for sale in 10 days. Can you get it done? Yeah, we can get that done because we know the process, or because I know the process. So one of those superpowers is just comes from that experience, comes from being able to see around corners.
Yeah, I love that. So like if there are investors in Orlando, they definitely need to talk to you, especially if they're trying to buy, a lot of the investor deals, the off-market deals are riddled with liens or foreclosure judgments or multiple signers. There's always a mess of stuff happening on these off-market transactions, which is the reason they're selling off-market usually, because there's a lot of stuff to do to get those things closed. And frankly, normal agents, typical agents who don't have the title experience or the depth and breadth of real estate experience, they don't really want to mess with it because they don't know it well enough for it to be, worth their time. And that's what I see. I see a lot of agents who won't touch that stuff. And they don't work with title companies who do have that depth of knowledge, because so few title companies are supporting the investor market along with the agent market. So it's just super powerful. Your depth is really impressive. If you could go back, because here's the cool thing. A lot of people will ask you, what would you tell yourself when you're 20? I would ask you 3 years ago in 2021, right? Which is this pivotal time in your growth in your real estate business. What advice would you give yourself in 2021? Let's say you're about to go to this ClickFunnels event and meet Bill Allen, and you're going down this path of the investor side to kind of broaden. What advice would you give yourself? What would it be?
Go. Really, literally just go and be open to the experiences of meeting new people, be open to learning. Yeah, I think I was just talking about this with my family the other day, but that was a very kind of fortunate opportunity just to meet Bill and to be exposed to the kinds of things that this whole other world of 7-figure flipping, which helped me meet you. 2021 was a really busy year for real estate. My practice in New Jersey was like on fire. So it was hard to kind of stay focused sometimes. It's like, I'm going to a ClickFunnels thing because I want to build funnels and I want to try to figure out next steps here. I think just go and be open to meeting new people. Don't listen to naysayers. I had a lot of people be like, what are you doing? Why would you do any? Why would you go to this conference? Why would you feel like you need to learn anything else? But a lot of things have led to other things. You introduced me to the War Room, and it's a great community that has allowed me to meet other veterans and get more connected in that way. And it's been a great encouragement. So, yeah, that ability to go and be open has been really helpful.
It's so relatable for entrepreneurs. I see a lot of, especially new entrepreneurs, they see others succeeding in some space and they go, that's the opportunity for me. They start to go down that path and they build new relationships. They learn new skills and different doors end up opening for people. And I've had this experience in my life too. And I've seen other people have this experience, and different doors open for people. And the opportunity that they thought they would dive into and get them to the goals isn't actually the endpoint opportunity that they end at. They go down that path and another door opens, and they're courageous enough to take that jump with that relationship, with that new business, with whatever it may be. And for many, it's a grind, and then it's a hockey stick type growth period in their business. And I think that's the part that, people miss as they come on this journey. They know it's a lot of work, but they don't really know until they go down it. And they have this flat growth that comes across. And, two things happen. They either give up and quit, which is really when they lose, or they just keep going through and they go from this flat growth and then it hockey sticks up because they've committed so deeply to that success. And it's just really cool. I think entrepreneurs can relate to that. You went to a ClickFunnels event, which is a marketing event, has nothing to do with real estate per se. And you meet a real estate guy, Bill Allen, who's a dear friend of mine and mentor of, for many of us, kind of a rabbit in the community. He's done it all and grown multiple businesses, and he spends a lot of time giving back and teaching others. So yeah. And then we met. So now we're growing title business all throughout the state of Florida. And we're trying to do it in a unique way, a little bit of our veteran flavor, our can-do attitude. Nothing, no task is insurmountable for us. We can figure it out, which I think really sets us apart in the veteran community in business. So no, Jim, it's a blessing and certainly an honor to have an opportunity to work with you, man. And you and I talk all the time, and this. So now everybody knows it.
It's my honor, man. It's definitely been a blessing to me. I think obviously it's very inspiring and reinforcing. It's like, take action. I think that's how you and I met, was on a laser coaching call. And it was like, just do it. You can do it. Just do it. And it's kind of overcoming that fear in a lot of ways. And now even with title, it's maybe not fear as much as, agents already have title companies, investors are already working with title companies, but it's being bold enough or courageous enough to put yourself out there and to let people know. It's like you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So letting people know this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and what's really cool is you often attract like personalities, and you and I and our team at Titan, we're working with a lot of clients in the title space that we have relationships with, people who trust us, who know what we do and what our values are, how we approach business, how much we care about customer service. We know we're not always going to get it right, but we're going to always make it right for our clients. Yeah. And we're going to go out of our way to do that. Our clients are more important to us than any dollar could ever be. So I think it's really cool. And that's the truth. We just put ourselves out there and tell people what we're doing. We don't spend any money on ads or anything like that. We're just telling our community and other communities that, hey, this is what we're doing. This is who we are. We'd love to serve you. And I think that's a reflection of us as a team. You joined the Marine Corps. You swore an oath to serve the country, and the cost could be your life in many cases. You then swore an oath when you became an attorney to serve your clients.
Yeah.
And the theme for us on our team is really service and being a servant. So we're just grateful. I'm grateful to be surrounded by people who also want to serve and give at a high level. So no, super appreciative of you, Jim. Hey, if people in this Four Corners area need help with real estate or title, which are your two expertise, how can they reach out to you? How can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you at?
Yeah, on the retail side of things, my wife and I have a YouTube channel, Everyday Orlando. just, make every day a special day, like in Orlando. So you can find us there. You can also find on Instagram at Jim Lloyd 320 and at Titan Title FL.
TitanTitleFL.com. Yeah, I love it. Everyday Orlando. So that's Everyday Orlando on YouTube. Check it out if you want to learn about the Orlando area or you need help buying or selling a house there. And, Jim's on Instagram, Jim Lloyd 320. And then obviously you can check us out at TitanTitleFL.com if you need title services. Jim, thanks a bunch, man. I appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day with me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.